Hi, my name is Rachel Brewster. I'm a Regency romance writer documenting my journey from writing to publication. I'm working on my very first Regency romance novel, tentatively titled To Kiss a Captain, in which Jessica is pretending to be a sailor's son and masquerading as a boy on a ship, because women are not allowed to be on ships. And she is tossed overboard by an accident at sea and discovered to be a woman by the entire crew, including her fierce and ruggedly handsome Captain Andrew. This video is going to be about characters' names and origination of names. I just did one about Hector and Harold. Check out that video if you so desire. This one is going to be about the name of the ship itself and where it originated from. So, in my very first draft of To Kiss a Captain, I called the ship the Jade. The Jade. I had in my mind that this novel was going to be called something like, Captain of a Jaded Heart. Or I was going to make some reference to like the jaded wench, once Jessica's figured out to be who she is or something. What is the Jade? It's feminine. It's a feminine name. It's color. I think it's like a jewel, like a gemstone. This ship, Andrew, the fierce and ruggedly Captain Andrew, this is his ship. He's not going to name it a feminine name. He's just not. And so I knew I eventually had to admit to myself that I needed to rename the ship, rechristen it, as the case may be. And I wasn't sure what I should call it. And then I had an interesting conversation between Andrew and Clara Rose. There's sometimes when you're writing that your characters just talk to each other, and it doesn't feel like it's you who's making them talk. They just talk to each other. And Clara Rose was teasing him and giving him a hard time and saying that he should have named his ship after her and called it the Rose for Clara Rose. And he was saying, do you know how much grief I would get if I named my ship the Rose? I'm absolutely not going to do that. I didn't end up using that piece of dialogue, but I found it to be a really interesting conversation and a good point of view. And it speaks to the heart of the relationship between Andrew and his little sister, who he's really protective of. So I did end up using that idea, and I changed the name of the ship from the Jade to the Thorn. And later on, in the second half of my novel, Andrew talks about how he named it the Thorn, and it's his way of honoring his little sister. And it's this moment for Jessica where she feels like she didn't think she could love him any more than she already does. But that moment just feels like, ugh, I love you, right? Like how much he cares about his family and his little sister just totally hits home for her. So it ended up being this wonderful piece that even plays into the novel itself. Previously, when it was called The Jade, I didn't have a reason behind it. So understanding the origination behind a name, or the name of a ship in this case, is really important. I also know the origination of the name Jessica. Not as deep as the ship, for sure, but in my very, 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 very first version of this draft, Jessica was not named Jessica. She was named Taylor. Taylor, which is way too modern of a name. I liked it because I could keep that name when she was pretending to be a boy and when we all discovered that she was a girl, or her world discovered she was a girl. I liked that I got to keep the name, but it was way too modern. There's nobody in the early 1800s that was a female that was named Taylor. That was not a thing. And I thought about keeping that as her boy name and then changing her name when everyone around her discovered that she was actually a girl. Didn't love it. Then I discovered that Jessica would be great because we could refer to her as Midshipman Jess. Everyone would think of her as Jess, call her Jess, until she was tossed overboard and discovered to be a woman, and then she could be her full name as Jessica. Really like that. It's my favorite. It works phenomenally, and I'm happy that I did it. I also had to Google, because of my error with Taylor, I wasn't sure how modern Jessica was. Is there anyone in the 1800s who was named Jessica? I don't know. When did people start using that name? There's got to be a point, right? Like, there's somebody out there in the world now that's named Apple, but not always. Anyway, long story short, I Googled when did people start naming their kids Jessica? And apparently, the name Jessica comes from The Merchant of Venice by Shakespeare, which was printed in the 1600s. So, lucky me, my story is 200 years later, and it is feasible that somebody could be named Jessica. So, if you have stumbled upon this video and are trying to figure out names of characters and places and things like ships, one way to think about it is the origination of the name. Where did it come from? With the Jade, now the Thorn, for me, it's backstory. For Jessica, it's being able to use the name in a male-female dynamic kind of a way, as well as it being correct for the historical period and reasonable to assume somebody could be named that name. I hope that's helpful and or interesting and or entertaining. If it was, I would encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, touch all these bells and buttons. And if you are interested in following me on this journey of writing Regency romance novels and going into publication eventually, fingers crossed, knock on wood, then I would encourage you to check out another video or subscribe so you can follow the journey. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, ciao for now.